Um, let's start with roll call. We got Joan McInerney.
Here.
Dennis DeVito.
Here.
Doug Blocker.
Here.
Jack Slager.
Here.
And I'm here. And let's see. And then we have Brian Blazik. Brian,
I'm
you're
here.
here. Okay. Craig Phillips.
Yes.
Denny Cobb.
Yes.
Taggy, of course. That's who else is here? Okay, it doesn't look like we have any attorneys here today. It's just us. Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes, but we voted last time to defer minutes till we get somebody who can write them up. So I will turn it over to Taggy, and just as a reminder, Taggy sent us another set of the slides for this morning that are in black and white in case you want to print them out. The last ones had a navy blue background, and that was pretty hard on printer ink, so I asked him to send a black and white copy.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we all appreciate that. Thanks, Taggy. And so I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you. Nice to see everybody. And we for today we have a sort of recap of what we have done initially for the last presentation and also the previous presentation to that, and update you on those final numbers. And then I'm going to turn it to Denny, and he's going to talk about his sort of final numbers based on these final growth numbers that we came up with in our last presentation. So that's we will, after the update, we will discuss the identified improvements and projects based on growth, and answer question, and hopefully set up a meeting. In terms of the process, we have gone through, we have assessed the current conditions, and you have heard that. We have estimated what that future demand is. That was mostly focused on what Denny said last time. And we are in this stage, half in, half out, and what improvements are needed to serve that. And that's going to be mostly what Denny's going to talk about today. The cost, determining those improvements cost would be our next work, and then that would be primarily perhaps our next meeting. We will focus on that, and in that regard, it's going to be a little bit lengthier meeting, and we have debated whether or not we should cut it into two separate meetings versus one. But that is something we will know hopefully in about a week or so, as Denny gets into these cost estimates and the tables that needs to be prepared. And you understand, and I have also, Joan had asked last time about the potential schedule from now on, and we have sent that, and hopefully we'll discuss that one. But you will note that that schedule will be impacted the more we delay. Once the costs are determined, and then we will basically do that famous calculations or divisions, and we can determine what the trip cost is. I have sent you these as a separate new table just for you to have to be able to see and review. What you see now is what we have as what we have called the development capacity. That is, what if the whole town is developed within the current corporate boundaries? What are we looking at? And this has been updated since our last two meetings conversations, due to primarily your comments and also a couple of other changes that we have noticed. A good example of it would be that the Culver's case, that we had to take it out of the plan development and transfer it to existing uses, and so that's where some of these um, changes, minor changes that you will see if you compare this table and versus the previously submitted table. But this is the total capacity for the town and the total number of units that potentially could be developed in the town. Denny is going on this basis. All of the calculations that he's going to present, improvements, has used these this one as well as the next two tables. So these are finals, and I assume there is no questions about it. We have beat it enough in the past. Is that correct, everybody? No questions about this table? Great. Based on that table, we have 3,432 potential residential units, service units, and about 3,400 commercial development and 1,400 industrial development. As a whole, is about 8,314 service units that is available within the town. And from this total, we have about 172 units are planned commercial development. From that table, then we got to this table. What is the anticipated development next 10 years? And you will note that we have adjusted this table based on all of the comments we have received and a couple of other corrections, and moving some developments. Culver is a good example, and also the Franciscan property was moved from planned development to vacant unit developments. In other words, it fell into the vacant unit or vacant lots, vacant land, rather than planned development. And for this table, anticipated development, another change that we have done since our previous table, and that relates to the industrial development. You will recall that we talked about, we have two parcels of industrial land, and one of them we anticipated that could be developed, and that's parcel number 7, and from that one, even it was Rick's opinion that probably the council and the plan commission will not approve full development as it is permitted because of the access issue, and he felt that perhaps that density of development to be set at 50%. That would be a reasonable assumption for future development of that site. The 218 is basically looking at the 200,000 square feet development versus 400,000. And so that is the other change that we have made. As a whole, we have 3,948 units of development for the next 10 years anticipated. All of the numbers that Denny will be talking and all of his projections are based on these numbers. For residential, you will recall is somewhere around 300 units annually, and then the commercial uses and industrial uses. So if we look at yes.
On that slide, am I correct in saying that those red triangles indicate the only changes made from prior?
No, those were notes we have put in there for Denny, because these were sent to Denny to identify specific parcels. No, it hasn't been changed. As I said, the changes that have been there is the 172 under plan development. If you look at your old table, it would have shown as 176, and that 4 units was related to the Culver's proposal. And if you go back even further, that was I believe it was close to 300 numbers. And that was when we had the Franciscan property also included as a planned development. Did I answer your question, Dennis?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So based on that table, revised table, final table, this is what we have, and that's what Denny has run his model for to project traffic on this basis. And I do want to stress this or let you know, we have had less than 2 weeks, and I know Denny had to work Saturday and Sunday and sending me emails on Saturday. What is this? What is that? And it's not easy. And I do want to express my appreciation for his working late and to getting these to the where we are today. The last table is a sort of 5-year projection, and I want to describe what we went in developing these 5-year projections. Is for residential, we basically looked at what would be reasonably developed. You will notice that all in the next 5 years, we anticipate that all of the available lots will be developed. And as a whole, when you look at for residential development, we're still staying with the 300 plus units annually. So that is what has been projected for residential development. For commercial development, again, we are assuming that all of the planned developments will be developed, and also in addition to that will be some of the vacant units. And you will note that this is a little bit smaller number than just half for commercial. And the reason for it is typically the commercial developments do take a little bit longer time to come on board, and and so that's what our estimate is. For industrial development, again, due to restrictions for access, we don't think that the next 5 years there will be any industrial, certainly not to the 200 plus thousand square foot industrial development on that parcel number 7. And so this is our estimate for the next 5 years. And these estimates have very little to do with the projected traffic generation, because Denny is using a 10-year projections, and then he will apply those projections for these to anticipate his 5-year projection. Any questions about this? If there is no questions, we have put these. I'm going to move on. We have put these tables just in case if there are any questions about these tables. So I'm going to just move on. You have seen it, and we basically we can. I can turn it over to Denny, and he can talk about existing condition and updates of it, and traffic generations. Is everything okay with everybody with this process now? Or?
Yeah, I'm good.
Great. Denny, is all you.
Okay, thank you. As Tagi's been discussing, we've done some changes in our distributions and the number of different units. And so the result of that, for the existing condition, we found that the intersection of 93rd and Klein will need either a roundabout or a traffic signal at that intersection in today's condition. Next slide, Tagi. So, and then we looked at 10 years from now without any new development. And so, but we've added the Lures Farm in, which has significantly impacted the east side of town. And so what we've got now for our list of deficiencies within 10 years, without any new development, is White Oak and 93rd will need either a traffic signal or a roundabout there. US 41 and 93rd will need to work with NDOT, and the town will need to be thinking about an eastbound to westbound through and making the eastbound left turns into dual lefts, and then adding a right turn lane. Make sure we have one of those on all 4 approaches. At Klein and 93rd, that if we do a traffic signal today, then in 10 years from now, we'll need to add a southbound right turn lane to that signal. The roundabout today, it'll be fine for 10 years out. At Blaine and 93rd, the next major intersection east, we'll need to add a eastbound right turn lane.
Denny?
And then go ahead.
Can you explain what that N/C represents?
And, no change.
Thank you.
Okay. So going south then 101st and Blaine, we need to either install a traffic signal or change that to a four-way stop. And obviously, a four-way stop would be a much more cost-effective solution. And then on the other side,
Would that actually be a three-way stop? I believe 101st and Blaine is a three-way intersection, or is it planned to become a four-way intersection?
no, I think there's a private drive on the south approach.
Okay, yep.
Over on 109th and White Oak, we've talked about that before. There'll be some issues for the traffic on White Oak, but there really isn't a cost-effective solution for that. 109th, which is 231 and Klein, there's deficiency there, but NDOT will take care of that with a roundabout. At 109th, which is 231 and Parrish, the same thing. NDOT will be putting in a roundabout there. And so those two, we under the 10-year no new development scenario, NDOT would take care of. Next slide, Toby. So the roadway segments that you have responsibility for will all be fine for the next 10 years, assuming no new development. So now we look at a 5-year period with the development that Tagi has showed you on his tables. And in 5 years, here's what I'm projecting that we're going to need to do. Third and
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So on these analysis with no improvements, no new development, so we would not be able to use any impact fee money for those improvements, right?
That is correct. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so now with development, with the next 5 years, the roundabout or traffic signal that we were talking about at 10 years with no development, now it's needed at 5 years with the development. At 93rd and Klein, that same southbound right turn lane that we talked about in 10 years would need to go in. And if we had a roundabout there, we would have no change, NC. At 93rd and Blaine, we're going to need a traffic signal or a roundabout. At 101st and Blaine, that four-way stop or traffic signal we talked about now is needed at 5 years. 101st and Klein, we would add a westbound left turn lane to that intersection. 109th and Parrish, NDOT's project for a roundabout presently has only a single entry lane for northbound and southbound. In order to have an adequate level of service, we would need to work with them to widen that out to two entry lanes on both the north approach and the south approach. At 109th and 41, now we got some issues there. NDOT, in order for this to work best, NDOT would need to put in a dual southbound left turn lane. The town would need to change what is presently an eastbound right turn lane to a combination right and through lane. So we would have two through lanes going through the intersection. And we would need to extend that lane about 1,000 feet for both the southbound left turn lane to work, to have two lanes receiving, and also for the two through lanes to have two lanes receiving. Let's see. Okay, and then
Denny?
first,
Denny?
yes.
We just got word, official word anyway, that NDOT was improving US 41 to 109. Are the changes you describe here incremental to that work being done?
I do not know what they're planning to do. So if you could
I know we
pass
got
that on.
notice that they're, that whole, section, south of town on 41 is going to be, worked on, but it wasn't clear, at least I don't recall seeing what work was being done there.
I don't think they're doing anything at the intersection there. I think what they're doing is 5-laning that piece of roadway. I've got those plans and I'll double check that.
If we are talking about doing something, it just seems that if you're going to tear it up and have all the men and equipment there, this would be a good time to do it.
I would agree.
No, those bids have already been awarded and the work is actually starting, so it's probably too late.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
The last intersection is 101st and Calumet. With development in the next 5 years, we would project that we're going to need to add a northbound left turn lane. Next slide, Huggy. Huggy, next slide.
That's the one. That's the 5-year, this 10-year. Is that the duplicate?
This one.
Yeah.
So hold on a second. Okay. So now in our determination of our fees, we have to look at what the conditions are existing in 10 years with improvements, and then the conditions in 10 years with the development. And so this slide indicates where we're going to have deficiencies in 10 years and may include some of the stuff that we talked about in 5 years, okay? So the 5-year thing is just really to tell you that for informational purposes, some of this stuff needs to accelerate into that period, and some of it needs to be expanded upon. So, for instance, at 93rd and White Oak, if we put a roundabout in as a single lane roundabout, that's okay at 5 years. But at 10 years, we'll now need to have a 2-lane roundabout, which will also require a second entry lane on the west approach and a second entry on the south approach. If we have a traffic signal there instead of a roundabout, then we'll either increase the length of the westbound left turn lane or make that a dual left, and probably we'll just increase the length of it. At 93rd and Klein, if we put a signal in, we're going to now need to add eastbound and westbound left turn lanes to that signal. If we have a roundabout, now we're going to have to add lanes in the roundabout and on all of the approaches. At 93rd and Blaine, if we put in a traffic signal, we're now going to have to add dual left turn lanes northbound and add eastbound right turn lane. If we did a roundabout, we would have to widen the west approach and add a lane in the southwest quadrant of the roundabout so that we have 2 lanes. At 101st and Blaine, we need to change that 4-way stop to a traffic signal. And we also have to add a lane on the north approach and the west approach. Next slide, Tuggy. At 101st and Klein, now we need a traffic signal or a roundabout. At 109th and Parish, we need to, if we haven't already, we need to widen that north approach and south approach to 2 lanes to that roundabout. At 109th and 41, again, we have this dual southbound left. We'll also now need to add a southbound right, and that would be NDOT's responsibility. The town would have to change what was presently an eastbound right turn to a through lane and extend that lane 1,000 feet and also add a right turn lane on that west approach. And then finally at 101st and Calumet, we'll need to add another left turn lane so that now we have dual northbound lefts, and we need to add a westbound left. Next slide, Tuggy. Now, in addition to the intersections, we have segments that will need to be widened. 93rd from White Oak to Hart, you will need to go 3 lanes, and as you approach US 41, it'll need to go to 4 lanes. 93rd from Klein to Blaine will be 4 lanes, which is predominantly the additional lane is not through lane, but actually a right turn lane going westbound and a right turn lane going eastbound. Blaine from 93rd down to 101st will need to be a 3-lane section. And 101st from Klein to Blaine, a 3-lane section. And 109th from White Oak to 41, a 3-lane section. And Calumet from the south town limits up to 101st, a 3-lane section. Now, the 3-lane section is one in one direction, one in the other direction, and then the middle lane is a opposing left turn lane. Now, what I've indicated up in the previous couple of slides might be changed or fine-tuned a little bit as we look at the actual layout and discuss this with the town manager. Because as you can see in these roundabouts, if we would choose them, many times we have to add more lanes to them, and that gets quite expensive. So probably the locations that are either traffic signal or roundabout, the most cost-effective solution will be to go to a traffic signal. But we'll determine that in the next couple of weeks and when we get into the final layout of everything and then the cost. Next slide.
Denny, I've one comment and one sort of question. It appears that all of the changes are 93rd and south. Is that implying that everything north of 93rd is okay?
Yes.
Secondly, is there any way that I can get a descriptive difference in between a roundabout and a 4-way stop? I happen to be one of those people who do not care for roundabouts for a number of reasons, but yet I'm told, and it seems to be a driver for folks who know what they're doing, to encourage roundabouts. And I guess I'm looking for some information that would say, yeah, here's the pros and cons, here's the benefits, and here's why we either approve a roundabout or a stop light. I have yet to find any reason other than people think it's right or think it's wrong for selecting one over the other.
That's a good point. And in the traffic engineering committee, as well as local public officials, there's a lot of discussion about that. The roundabouts tend to have lesser accidents and tend to have lesser operational costs after they're built, because there's no electricity, there's no maintenance of detection loops, there's no maintenance of the signal heads, that type of thing. Traffic signals have the reverse. They have lower initial cost, but continuing cost. You'll get some right angle accidents that you don't get with the roundabout. Roundabouts are difficult to modify in the future, whereas traffic signals typically are less so. Roundabouts tend to slow traffic through an area 100% of the time, whereas traffic signals, when they're green, then you don't have to slow down that much for them, okay, unless you're turning. So those are kind of the pros and cons between those. As far as pedestrian activity goes, my personal belief is that a traffic signal with pedestrian signals is a safer crossing than the roundabout for pedestrians and bicyclists. But that's a personal opinion. And those are the kind of the pros and cons quickly between the two.
Well, certainly in a urban area where the corners are well defined, roundabouts are fairly impractical. We're fortunate in the area we're talking about is there's still land available to accommodate a roundabout.
Yeah, exactly right. If we were to try to put one in at 93rd and 41, for instance, it would be hugely expensive and hugely disruptive and really hard to construct and maintain traffic while doing so.
Thank you.
Well, and I think that, I think what you just said, Denny, as far as roundabout, the one that was suggested possibly at White Oak in 93rd, that one I believe would be difficult also just because there's private homes on 3 out of the 4 corners, and just in order to build it, you'd have to take 3 homes. So I think that might be impractical there also.
I would agree. Now, I know that on Wednesday the 9th, the town council has invited 2 or 3 firms to come in and talk about development on 93rd, which includes 93rd and White Oak, and specifically looking at a roundabout at 93rd and Klein. And so there'll be probably a little more clarification after that meeting, where the town council may weigh in on some of these issues, specifically the 93rd and Klein. Okay? Any questions?
Well, 93rd and Klein, the development there is already provided for it. The sidewalk is in. I thought that was a done deal.
The Walden Clearing has provided the right-of-way on 2 of the 4. And I think the northeast corner is probably laid back far enough, but the southeast corner is still private property.
One other question, Denny, this is Jack. One thing that hasn't been mentioned, and I know we've talked about it before, is the extension of Klein Avenue from 93rd to 101st. And if and when that happens someday, it changes the whole dynamic of Blaine and all of the improvements that you're talking about at Blaine and 93rd and Blaine and 101st. And I know it's on NERC's 20-year plan or whatever their long range plan is, but how does that factor into some of this? If we could push to get Klein Avenue, the missing link, installed.
At the present time, there's no project in their TIP. That TIP goes out for 5 years, 4 years. They're doing another call for projects coming up in September this month, which will put in projects out in 25 and 26, if I'm not mistaken. So what we're looking at is what we know is in place or know is planned. And remember that in 5 years, we come back and revisit this. So within the next 5 years, if the town would pursue that type of project, then it would be known and could be then factored into the next update of this plan.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? I know it is a lot of stuff that was thrown at you, but we basically have next couple of weeks to finalize all of these and move on to the next phase of our work. I had Joan had asked for a sort of tentative timeline, and which we put together. It's very tight, and we anticipate that we should be able to maintain that timeline. And as you, I've sent you that. I don't know if there are any questions about it, but basically it is it sets up a or anticipated timeline of somewhere around 1st of December, and that we can then go to Plan Commission, and then after that to the council. I don't know if there is any thoughts on this. This is we have really tried to push the process along. And one other unknown in that is also that you need to, at some point, that have that sort of final advisory committee meeting when you officially make a recommendation with a set fee to the Plan Commission and the council. And our experience in our last round was that was a difficult decision, and this is not going to be easier than the last time, but it is. So the committee felt that they needed more than one meeting to discuss it, and so that is. But we are assuming that we will have hopefully one meeting that you can make a decision and make a recommendation. We are hitting the holidays, and I don't know how that impacts the Plan Commission schedule and the town council, but I just want to bring that to your attention that at this point we are hoping that we will have the majority of this work done and hopefully approved by the town council this year. Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is Doug. On your schedule that you have here, I guess, is September 20th supposed to be September 17th? You have,
I believe so, yes.
okay. And then these dates that you've given, these are the anticipated meeting dates?
Potential, yes.
Okay. So we should be reserving these dates then for sure.
That's, yeah, somewhere around that time, we think that would be a good time.
And those dates have all been reserved by Margaret. So we're good as far as the room and the equipment goes. Tagi, is there any reason we can't meet next week, or is there a constraint there with what Denny has to do?
It is a constraint that Denny has to do. There's a lot of work that still has to be done. He has to meet, you heard him talk to Craig and make sure all of these, and I understand that Craig is going to be going out of town or vacation, and so logistics of it, I think it works in 2 weeks.
Okay, fine.
This is Dennis. I would like to encourage a review of the schedule. We're cutting it close to year end, and the year end cutoff for the project we're working on seems to be an extremely convenient cut point for a lot of reasons. This final date of December 3rd, does that give time for both a Plan Commission and a town review in calendar 2020?
Dennis, this is Rick Eberly. It does not. The Plan Commission has their regular meeting on December 2nd. They then meet on the 16th for study session, and then their next meeting at which they could take official action would be in January. So this doesn't allow for Plan Commission to make its recommendation to the council and then the council to respond to that by year's end. That would be happening in January without special meetings being scheduled.
Well, then I would like to, unfortunately, I'm not really sensitive to sensitive is the wrong word. I'm not knowledgeable of all the work that goes into this project. But if there's any way to accelerate the dates to allow a year-end review, I think that should be looked at.
Typically, the Plan Commission would like to
Thank
see
you.
this at a study session before it's asked to take action on it at a regular meeting. So that really means bumping everything up by a month if you're set on doing this by the end of this year.
So Rick, for the Plan Commission, is it, we would review, the information would reviewed with them in a study session, and then the next session we would present in a regular meeting?
Yes, and I seem to remember, Joan, from when we started this a couple of years ago, that the Plan Commission has to conduct the public hearing on it. So there's got to be notice and publication prior to them being able to take action at their regular meeting. So again, if we need to have this done by the end of this year, then the Plan Commission's going to have to see this at their November study session, advertise a public hearing for December 2nd, and then make a recommendation out of that meeting to the council for its consideration in December.
When is there a study session in November, Rick?
It is, let's see, it's November 18th. Typically, there's a 10-day advanced publication notice by state law for public hearings. I'm not aware of anything more restrictive for a road impact fee, and I don't specifically recall, but let's assume for a moment that it is just the typical statutory 10-day advanced notification for public hearing. Then the Plan Commission, if it sees this at the November 18th study session, it would have time to advertise a public hearing for December 2nd. Now, again, there can be special meetings. The Plan Commission could conduct a special public hearing date, but I'm just talking about if we follow its regular schedule. What I see in front of me here on the screen does not allow for a decision by the council by the end of this calendar year.
And the Plan Commission's role is to give a favorable, unfavorable, or no recommendation?
Actually, Joan, the Plan Commission can take your recommendation from your review committee and do whatever it wants with it. And it actually did that the last time. It did not send the same recommendation to the council that the review board sent to it. So the Plan Commission can change your recommendation in any way they see fit, and then the council can, again, do whatever it chooses to do with either recommendation. They don't have to concur with either one. They can do a hybrid. They can do something completely different that they're comfortable with.
Let me just add to what Rick
So,
said. I hope you don't mind, Joan. The Plan Commission responsibility is to certify that the impact fee, the road impact fee is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. And they will have two documents they have to approve. One is a certification and one is a resolution of support. Um, they can, as an entity, they can support the whole process. They could sit on it as they did last time, or they could object to it. But that objections will have to be on the basis of not complying with the comprehensive with the comprehensive of comprehensive plan. But nonetheless, it is they cannot change the rate. They cannot change your recommended fee, and they can certainly have the authority to make recommendation of their own to the council, and it's up to the council to make that decision to accept it or not to accept it. But that is the two items that they need to do it. Both of those items are not complicated. It's drawn up typically by the attorney, and so if something that my thinking is that if something that we can do to brief them for their study session and satisfy them, there is a possibility that they could have a very short meeting for those two documents to approve it and forward it to the council.
Yeah, and Tagi, you might remember from the last time that my recollection off the top of my head was that the review committee recommended an RDU of $370 roughly to the Plan Commission, and the Plan Commission's recommendation to the council was something different than that, with a graduated increase every year for each of the first 5 years of the fee. And of course, then, it never got to the point where the council made a decision on it, but what the Plan Commission sent to the council was different from what the review committee sent to the Plan Commission.
Yeah, you're correct. I think the committee had selected a 7% rate. The Plan Commission felt that our recommendation was at 10%. And there were members of the Plan Commission that felt that even that is not adequate. They wanted a higher percentage of the calculated fee, and that sat there. And I know this is a legal issue, but my understanding of it is the Plan Commission does not have the authority to change your fee, and but they can certainly make recommendation to the council to adopt a different fee than what you are recommending.
Right. And it may be beneficial, Tagi, for you and or Denny to attend a Plan Commission study session in October to sort of get them ready for this.
Yeah.
And then another appearance in November.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Send me the time, and if they can put it on their study session agenda, I don't know how Denny's schedule is. We can certainly at least give them a briefing update.
Right.
Yeah, because I think with the Plan Commission all being new, mostly new folks, right? I think Bob's the only one that's been on it, but we need to, I think, sort of do some advanced education with them, if that's allowable.
It is.
So that they can either, review some of the materials, the training materials, quote unquote, that we've reviewed in advance of going in on October 18th and hitting them up with it for the first time. I don't think we get very far, right?
Right. I think we should put this on the October 21st Plan Commission study session agenda for an initial briefing, and then plan a follow-up at the November 18th study session agenda, and then plan for them to make their recommendation out of their meeting on December 2nd.
Yeah. And I think, again, we have to make sure that they are aware of what is going to be their role in the end, right? So they know we're asking them what they're going to have to do, make a decision, make a recommendation, so that they have that in mind, starting with the October 21st meeting.
I agree.
So if that's what we're talking about from the Plan Commission, what does it look like for the council? Is there any preparation we could do with council members on any advanced training, quote unquote?
The material that we prepare for the Plan Commission, a study session, we can certainly use that same material for the council if they want to put us on one of their study session agenda.
They don't have a study session agenda. They're talking about creating one, but they haven't so far. Craig, has that changed?
They've talked about setting the study sessions for, I believe, the second Wednesdays of the month, but I don't know if they've made a final decision on that or not. They've been doing special meetings a couple times. They have one this month, and they've been talking about setting a study session agenda, but I don't think they've set it for, they've not set it for certain. Now, that being said, they could set a study session, based on the need to do so. We would just have to give them enough advance notice to be able to do that.
Well, I think maybe one thing we could look at doing, Craig, is simply to invite them to the Plan Commission study session or study sessions at which this is going to be discussed, so everybody gets the same information at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we-
October 21st and the 18th.
Yeah,
November
we would just have to call the joint study session then.
Yes, right.
I like that. It'd be much more efficient.
Yeah.
So we'll add into that schedule, or we'll add a study session, joint study session for October. And hopefully the Plan Commission, we are really pushing it. I'm hesitant to say that we absolutely positively we're going to be able to go to Plan Commission by December 2nd. Because the reason for it is technically we have to have that document complete, reviewed by everybody, and including legal review, and it may take a little bit longer. I think Rick has gone through this process once before. These things could take time and certainly beyond our control. But
So a question on the joint study session that we would have with the Town Council and Planning Commission for this October 21st and November 18th. Who is accountable for having that communication with the Town Council and the Planning Commission to get alignment on that?
Craig and I will jointly put that word out, Joan, to make sure that the council is invited and is aware of the subject matter, and of course that the Plan Commission is as well.
I would think that the study session would be called by the Plan Commission because that's at their step in the process, and then I would just make sure that And when it's called, Rick, we would just need to make sure it's advertised as a joint study session.
Right.
And then I would just take care of the invites.
I
Okay.
was just going to comment, Craig, legally, it would have to be announced as a combination study session so that the council, 5 members, could all appear at one time.
Correct. And I'm just saying that it would be easiest if Rick called it and we just invite the council.
No, I agree. I just was reiterating the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that
yes, exactly.
it has to be done. Yes.
Yes.
Craig,
So Tagi, if we look at your schedule then, right, so you have projected needs on September 20th. Is that not what we just reviewed today?
Well, I have a comment on that because that's Sunday. I think you meant the 17th.
Yes,
Well, Tagi, what does that item projected needs mean? Maybe we ask that question first. Isn't that what we just reviewed?
that is the projected need in terms of cost and projects.
Okay.
That's the next step that Denny will be doing.
And that'll be for the 17th, correct, Tagi?
Yes.
One other question, Tagi. Denny, for you as well. You're going to put the projected cost together on the 5 and 10-year pieces of this puzzle. And my question simply would be, are you going to separate them in your presentation so that everybody understands what is going to be allowed under the road impact fee to be paid for and what is not going to be allowed in each project case, so that I believe the first time this was presented, you threw out a number like 81 or 82 million as to things that couldn't be paid for, and then you added an 11 million, which I believe were things that could be paid for. You're going to do the same for this presentation for cost?
it was the other way around, Brian.
Yes. He was away.
I thought the 81 million was water under the bridge and you couldn't do anything about it.
No, it was 11 million that is current, was identified as current need, and 80 plus million as future need, fundable
Okay.
by the impact fee.
Okay, gotcha.
But Denny, are you going to, Brian's question is still valid. Are you going to identify those different costs?
Yes, again, for the present existing stuff, up through 10 years with no development, we'll identify those projects and costs. And then 10 years with the full development that we've identified, what those costs are. And so you'll be able to see how much the town is on the hook for that can't be funded by the impact fee, and then what the additional increment is that can be funded by the fee.
Okay. Craig, can I ask, what is the council's plan for their December meeting? Because it would fall on the 23rd. Is that being moved?
That's a good question. Let's see, does the website... Let me look.
I would bet that we're probably going to move it up a week. I'm just
Probably, yeah. I was just looking to see if you guys had
that close to the holidays. You're going to have people, with family plans wanting to leave town, so on and so forth. I don't know what day Christmas is on this year, but
Friday.
yeah.
it's Friday. It's Friday. It looks like town council is actually the 30th.
Okay, so they're doing a year-end meeting combined with their traditional monthly meeting, it sounds like. Yeah,
I'm looking at the calendar for December 2020, and it says 2, 9, 16, 23. Yeah, it says EDC Redevelopment Commission and Town Council are the 30th of December.
okay.
Which could
I
also
give
be
this a weekend.
a bit problematic, but
If it happened to be moved up to December 16th, that conflicts with the Plan Commission's meeting
Commission,
of that
right.
night. So we have to be careful about that. And Tagi mentioned needing some time after the December 2nd Plan Commission meeting at which it's anticipated they would render their recommendation. So I don't know how much time you feel is necessary, at minimum, Tagi, to prepare for the council meeting after that.
I think this joint committee meeting, that should help tremendously. I'm hoping that we can kill more than two birds with one stone by that joint. By the time we get to the council, the full document has to be complete. Basically, it's still going to be called draft until it is adopted, but all of the resolutions, legal stuff has to be done. And this is a new program, so the resolutions is a little bit more complicated. So we have to work with the attorney and develop it. So it is going to be tight, especially since we are hitting the holidays. But
Can I ask, this is Craig. Can I ask why we're trying to rush this to be done before the end of the year? Is there some sort of statutory reason why it has to be done by December 31st?
That's my question too.
I mean, there's an awful lot. We're jumping through an awful lot of hoops to try to make it to the end of the year, and frankly, mistakes get made when that happens.
Right.
So unless there's some statutory reason for doing that, is there a reason why it can't be approved in January?
The only reason that I can give you is both the council's, I think, efforts and our efforts has been to expedite this process as fast as we can. And it does, from the time that it passes, I don't know if you're aware of it, from the time that it passes the council, the effective date would be 6 months from that date. And so any month or any day that is delayed, the town will not be able to charge the fee. So if it does pass December 30th, it will not become effective till June 30th.
Okay, I just wanted to ask because, frankly, this is a complex thing. Look how long it's taken this committee to grasp it. And you're going to be asking the Plan Commission to grasp completely everything we just learned in the last several months. And the same with the council. I mean, council, I don't know. It's a tall order. And A, mistakes get made when you rush things like this sometimes. And B, frankly, committees and commissions and committees don't like being forced into forced into a corner like that, with such a massive amount of information in such a short period of time. I don't know. I think it's a tall order. That's just me, with plenty of experience of having dealt with boards and commissions over the years. Just my 2 cents, but I just wondered if there was some reason that we were trying to beat a clock. So anyway.
I do agree with you, and it's your call.
I mean, I think that's fair. I think we need to talk about what does the education process for the Plan Commission need to be, right? And if our goal maybe is to get the Plan Commission and the and the town council wrapped up, is our goal to get that done by, so at least they're educated and knowledgeable on all this information, right? That we spend the rest of this year ramping them up, and then we hit January with looking for the approvals.
Well, I'm not sure that we want to go and teach them as intricately as we've taught ourselves, or as Tagi has taught us.
Oh,
But we need to build their faith that we have learned the process and come up with an educated recommendation to them.
That's,
No.
I'm
not saying that they need to go to the depth that we have. No, I agree with that. So Tagi, last time, how many times did you present to the Plan Commission?
My recollection, correct me, Rick, my recollection is that I went there twice.
I agree, Tagi. I think that's right, and I agree that the sort of the 30,000-foot review of this by the Plan Commission is probably the better thing, rather than trying to reinvent this whole thing and take them through the process that you folks have been through. Yeah, I think that's I think just two study sessions with them, I think, is plenty of opportunity to give them the information they need. And actually, there's 3 of those folks that are on the current Plan Commission that were here for that road impact fee the first time around: John Gill, John Kennedy, and Bob Burleson. So that's an advantage.
Yeah, John Kennedy was one of those proponents, was very much involved, so that's good.
Tagi,
Yes.
you have to consider the fact that the council has put their trust in this committee, and the people were selected because of the trust the council put in this committee, and therefore there's gonna be no need or necessity to give them a whole huge review of what this committee has learned over the last few months.
I do believe, though, 2 sessions is good. One, to give them the overview, but they will need time to digest that, just like we did. And then the second one, go over any questions they may have and be done with it then.
Yeah, our experience in other communities has been, Brian, as you said, that the council appointed the committee, the statute requires the advisory committee with the qualifications, and both Plan Commission and the council should give the necessary credit to the work of the committee.
Totally agree.
That's similar in other communities.
So how does this discussion then change to the October 21st and November 18th? Do we want to give a little bit more time and not do an October 21st, but do the November 18th?
Joan, I think that schedule still works, the October 21st and November 18th.
Yeah.
So then to Craig's comment of seem like we're rushing it in, then we haven't relaxed the schedule at all then, right?
I just wanted to ask the question. It's a lot. It's several steps. We just need to be very careful that we're, meeting all the steps, and, that we're giving at least a reasonable amount of time for people to review this.
Okay.
Like someone said, maybe two meetings is fine for the Plan Commission. I agree that they don't need to go through the depth of what we have, but you want to make sure you give them time to absorb this. That was all I was trying to say. So, and we want to make sure we give you guys as consultants enough time to put this together properly in order to present that. So that's all I was asking, and just wanting to make sure that we give enough time for review, because can't tell you how many times I've been scolded because I gave a board something close to a meeting, or there have been times where I've seen people, other people do that, and they don't react well. So, but I think that introducing it at one meeting and then asking for action at another meeting at a bare minimum is acceptable. It helps that there have been other people involved in this process before, so that's good. That are generally familiar with the concept and how this works. So that's good. I was just asking the question. So.
And it was a good question. And also, the plan commission might feel comfortable the first time and say, okay, we're ready to go with it from here, but let them make that decision.
Yeah, I agree. I would rather get it done right than get it done quickly. And if it can be done by the end of the year, that's great. But if it ends up being January 5th or 15th or January 20th, whatever, I don't think there's any significance to having it done by December 30th.
Just
I
out
have
of
a question. I have a question from Rick. Rick, how soon do we need to submit the handout that you have seen it before we did? Do we need a week advance or what's that timeline for?
Yeah, I'd like to get it in the Plan Commission's hands a week before their study session, Taggy.
Okay, so we're looking at October 16, 17.
Well, the 14th, roughly, because the 21st is their
14th?
meeting in October.
Yeah.
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 And I think you're going to know by the Plan Commission's study session, the joint study session on November 18th, whether everybody feels comfortable with going ahead and adopting, taking the actions in December. If they're not and you need more time, I agree with Craig. And Jack, there's certainly no statutory reason to rush this and get it done by the end of the year. So let's do it right. Let's take our time, take the time it needs to do it right. But I think you'll know by that November study session.
So am I attending November or am I attending October?
You're attending both. You're going to introduce it to the Plan Commission and Council at a joint study session on October 21st. You're going to have another opportunity to discuss it with them on November 18th. With the intention that both bodies act on it in December. The Plan Commission on December 2nd, making its recommendation to the council, and then the council at whatever meeting it's officially going to meet on, or date, takes the final action.
It is, if we are going to go that route and a week, we have to have October 14. We probably not going to have the fees selected by that time, because I don't believe the committee will have that public meeting set up, or they've had enough time to review the final numbers. So my presentation for that meeting will be, this is the process we have gone through, this is where we are, and hopefully in the next session that we come, we will have the recommended fee for you. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. So in effect, the committee has to now, sometimes between October 14 and November, when did you say, November 15 or?
18th.
18, you're gonna have your public meeting and at least your first public meeting sometimes in that period to start determining the recommendation for the fee.
Well, wait a minute. When you say you're going to have that meeting, do you mean this committee?
Yes.
Who has that first public hearing, Rick? Do you know?
Well, the only public hearing is held by the Plan Commission.
Okay.
Neither the council nor the committee holds a public hearing. At least that's how I recall it, Taggy. It's only the Plan Commission who holds the public hearing, the actual advertised public hearing.
That's correct.
Okay. So that'll be after the November meeting.
That'll be December 2nd. That's the plan at this point. But again, like Craig said, I completely agree. we don't need to push it that hard. If we feel like if we feel like it's best to first appear before the Plan Commission and Council at a joint study session in November, we can back it up a month. But at this point, we're planning on October 21st and November 18th as joint study sessions of the Plan Commission and Council to hear the presentation, and then the Plan Commission to be ready to take action on December 2nd. But that's flexible. That can back up a month if it needs to.
Now, at that public hearing, I'm assuming that this committee also needs to be present in case questions need to be answered. Is that?
I think it's advisable, yes. Mm-hmm. We also, I don't know, because we don't have the attorney or attorneys on the call, we have to be concerned or sensitive to their time needs. What are they going to need? What kind of time are they going to need to draft the documents necessary to act on this? So, and is that Adam and Dave Westland, Craig, or is Dave Westland just strictly handling this?
Well, Dave Westland has been, I guess, assigned to work with this committee. That being said, given the complexity and the seriousness of this project, I would think that he would want to review that with Dave Westland as well, because it's ultimately going to end up in the council's hands, and they're the ones. If the Plan Commission recommends, so refresh my memory, Tagi. Is there any case in which this does not move beyond the Plan Commission, or does it always move beyond the Plan Commission with some sort of recommendation or no recommendation?
The statute requires that the Plan Commission certify consistency with the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
And
Okay, so-
I assume, yeah.
That being the case, Rick, Adam is the Plan Commission attorney as well.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So honestly, it's both of them, because it's going to be Adam for this, to, I think, the first step of this with the Plan Commission, and then he's going to turn it over to, the council, and I think both of them need to be on the same page as far as what that language looks like, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Yeah, the last time we didn't have this issue because both attorneys were the same.
Right.
Yeah, they're not in this case.
Right.
So will you, Craig, or Rick be responsible for taking the schedule to them and getting their inputs before we finalize it?
Well, Rick, you communicate with Adam more directly on a regular basis. I mean, I can contact Adam, that's fine, but I think that it's important. I'm speaking to everybody on the committee here right now. I think it's very important to have Adam review this calendar and make sure that he feels comfortable with what it's showing, and then I can also, I guess, notify Dave. I can share the calendar with Dave as well, but there's going to come a point where the two of them are going to need to coordinate with each other, unless Dave defers to Adam and he basically just lets Adam run it all the way through the process. I don't know, but there's a conversation that needs to take place between the two of them.
Sure.
To get on the same page about that. I mean, it's possible that Adam, will be asked to take it all the way through, because it is an impact fee advisory committee process. But I don't want to make assumptions. So
Well,
I can talk to Dave about what he thinks his level of involvement is in this. And I have to call him today about another matter anyway, so I can talk to him about what he thinks his level of involvement, or where he feels that he needs to be involved, or will he defer completely to Adam, or what?
Okay, well, Craig, what I'll do is,
That being said, clearly at the plan commission level, Adam can handle this.
right. I'll send an
It's
email
just
out
gonna-
after this meeting, after we conclude this morning, Craig. I'll send an email out to Adam and Dave advising them of this, what I'll call a tentative schedule and plan, and I'll copy you in on it, and just ask that the two of them put their heads together in terms of who's going to do what, and for which
Yeah,
body.
That sounds fine. And I got to talk to him anyway today, so I'll give him a heads up. And
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
Now,
Okay.
I guess, can you then now put up, I guess, a revised schedule together for us for our meetings and adding these plan commission dates in to see if it's gonna work?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm thinking to add that additional items in there and put some date on it. And I plan to work with Rick and Craig, make sure you're not missing, and then send it to the committee as a whole for review. And so that becomes our goal.
Doug, could you mute your microphone, please? Thanks.
Taggy, are you going to get us a revised schedule right away?
Yeah, I can work on it this afternoon and send it.
So that Rick can send that out accordingly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna send it to you and Rick first. I need your input, and if everything's okay, then we just send it to the whole committee.
Sounds good to me. Craig, I only got Margaret to okay meetings up through December 3rd, but I'm going to have her take it out through the rest of the month and into January after this discussion.
Well, so are you saying that the committee needs to continue to meet throughout the process?
No, we don't know at this point, but I'd rather secure the rooms just in case.
Oh, okay, that's fine. She's off today and tomorrow, but she'll be back Tuesday.
Okay, I'll send her an email.
The holiday on Monday, obviously.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, because we probably won't meet past, the end of October here. But, you just never know what's going to happen once we get into the plan commission and then the town council as well. So I don't want to be caught without a meeting room.
Right. No, that's fine. Just reach out to her after Tuesday, or on Tuesday or after.
Sure.
Yeah, Donna, once the committee makes its recommendation, your job is done. And whenever that last, typically how we work, whenever that last meeting is, once you make that final determination, I normally have already sent a draft letter to you and Craig, and once that fee is set, Craig can put that final numbers on that letter and that letter of recommendation. Then all the members will sign, and then that is sent to the plan commission as well as the council. And that is as far as your responsibility. That's the end of your work. So I don't believe you need to meet after that meeting.
Like I say, we've got this scheduled, but we don't know what's going to happen in actuality. So
Right.
Prepared.
Right. One quick question from Rick: is the plan commission meetings virtual or not? Rick?
People
Can
have
you-
been coming
Yes.
and presenting, Taggy.
Yes. Taggy, half the members have been attending virtually, and as long as the governor extends his executive order, I'm sure they'll continue to do it that way.
Okay, so it is virtual.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions at this point? Or answers? Anybody want to move to adjourn the meeting?
Dennis, so moves.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Joan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.